paper. This evening, we are going to have a very short discussion, and our discussion will be based on likely areas and then how we can actually prepare ourselves for it. So we are going to start with Israel already sent some questions on the page. We will go through them. I also have likely questions and areas that we should expect. And then in general, we should also expect what will come. Now, I understand we did an IA, all right. The lecturers didn't confirm a particular area that is coming. But then if you know or if you understand everything, you won't ask for areas. So let's try to understand most of it. I'm praying that by the close of this evening, by 9, I'm hoping you'll finish it up. We'll be able to tackle at least about 70 to 80% of what we were taught in summary. You are not going to waste time on questions. You're going to look at how well you can solve questions and how you can explain certain things when the questions come. And then I'll give you some areas so that after here, you can sit down as a student on your own, revise, and then do everything. So you're all welcome. People are still joining. So if you have somebody, you can let them join. I'm sure some of you haven't learned anything from us to read. We are last minute people, so we wait till last minute before we revise. So let's try to share with our friends. So by 7:05, I'm starting. I'm not starting with the one you're seeing. I want to start with the introductory part of this course. Okay, the introductory part. And I always tell people that I think that you don't have to come here. I'm not lecturing. This is not a seminar. This is a class that you are preparing for final exams tomorrow. So please take a book, take your pen, and let's start so that at least you'll be able to grab something this evening. Maybe you might have not learned anything at all. So make sure you take your pen, your book. Yes, I'm waiting for you. Go and take your pen, go and take your book. Whatever thing that we say, don't assume you may know already. Okay, just take it. Somebody has to speak louder. Please, can you hear me? Maybe it's there.
We can.
Okay, then I will know how to scream. Okay. So please take your pens. If I speak louder by the time I finish, I'll be hungry. Take your pens and books and let's start. So we are starting with the introductory part of this course, which tackles what you call the physical layers of West Africa. I know the West African, I hope you all know how to draw the West African map. Let me see if I could draw the West African map for all of us all. But then we all know the West African map. We all know that even West Africa, we can divide West Africa into North, South, East, and West. Okay, we have the 16 member states of West Africa. We are in our scenario, or according to what they can bring tomorrow. Please pay attention and listen very well. These are the questions may come. The question may come in such a way that, number 1, describe the physical layers of West Africa. Now, when they generalize a question like that, oh, the meeting is full. When they generalize a question like that, that discuss the physical layers of West Africa, it's a general question. So if you want to describe the physical layers of a place, according to geography, you have to follow certain things. 1, you need to talk about the relief. 2, you need to talk about the drainage. 3, you need to talk about what's the vegetation in that place. 4, you need to talk about soil. And then one last one. Let me check if I could remember. Yes, there are 5 things. So drainage, relief, climate, soil, and then vegetation. These are things that you need to focus on. So if it comes out, describe the physical layers or the geography. They cannot say physical, or they can say describe the geography of West Africa. You take it one after the other. So I'll quickly brush through everything and then we go. I don't have to waste time because we don't have much time here. So if you want to take only, let's say, vegetation, we did it in soil last semester. Okay, so At the coastal part of West Africa, it's much of what vegetation. As you go up or as you climb up, it turns out to be you lose vegetation. And if you want to describe, please mute yourself.
Calm down, boss.
You want to describe the vegetation of a place, look, you use the crops that are grown in these areas. You use what you call the towns or the countries that are found within these areas to describe it. Okay. So let's say if you are taking the rainforest, for instance, yes. So you look at the kind of trees or the kind of species that are found within these areas. Then you look out for areas that are grown, and then you look out for its economic importance to the people. If you are picking the Savannah zone, which consists of the Guinea, Sudan, and Sahel, you talk about some trees that are grown over there, you talk about its temperature and everything, the rainfall pattern in those areas. And then you go ahead and yes, so there are three: forest, the Savannah, and then the desert zone. The desert is the upper part of what the West Africa or northern part of West Africa, which eats into Mali and then Niger. That's how you describe it. So you use the location, the crops that are grown and everything, the relief. You use how do you call it? I'll talk about the relief pattern. I'll come back to it. The relief. We won't talk about the relief. You use yeah, whether it's a highland, whether it's a lowland, whether we have mountains. Yeah, what's up? Whether we have mountains, whether there's a lowland, it's a highland, it's a plateau, or yes. Or then according to what they taught us this semester, they limited us or they categorized the relief features of West Africa into 4 categories. And I guess we are familiar with them. Yes. So why is the thing moving? I'm not moving anything. Why is it moving? So we can categorize the relief features or the relief of West Africa into. Somebody sent me a question. They don't understand between coast and then the coastal plains. Okay, so the coast itself is one relief feature of West Africa. In fact, West Africa share border with what? The Atlantic Ocean. Okay, so along the West Africa, there's a land that eats into the sea. So that one is what we call the coast. That's what we call the coast. Now, most of these countries, apart from Burkina Faso, Niger, and let's say Mali, most of the other countries, they have seas. And if you have a sea, automatically you have a coast. And most of them have natural harbors. Freetown has a natural harbor. And these are the countries that you can talk about when you talk about coast. And now we call something coastal plains. And the coastal plains also look at after the land has extended into the sea, there's a particular land that stretches from where the coast is outside the sea. So let's say those of you who have been to the beaches before, there's a land that extends close to the sea where the sea touches the land or where the sea meets the land forms the coastal. But the land that extends from that point up to where you meet any highland is called the coastal plain. So if you look at Greater Accra here, if you go to Labadi Beach, the coast where you swim after some of you cannot go deeper. So you just have to stand at the shore and then enjoy yourself. That forms the coast. However, from that land up to a new highland that you discover. So if you look at that point up to where every highlands are, all those sides are classified as dots, plains. Okay. So yes, so the coastal plains is kind of very vast and very wide, but the coastal itself, or the coast, the West African coast itself is linear. Okay, it's not that fast. And we have what we call the highlands. I know you know the highlands. You're talking about the mountains and that. So if you're describing them, you describe them with examples or the names of where they are found. So if you want to talk about Equapuntogo Range, where is it found? If you want to talk about this, where is it found? If you want to describe, let's say, Futa Jalon, where is it found? It's found in Nigeria, right? So they are not looking for your plenty words you're going to write. They want to know whether you've read enough by giving them real examples in your explanations. Okay, so I've touched on all these ones. And anytime you hear of climate, and you're told to describe the climatic regions of a particular place, we use two variables, which is what? Temperature and precipitation or rainfall. So out of the 5 climatic regions that you know, if it comes and you are told to write, use what you call the rainfall pattern and then temperature. Okay, if you were to be doing climatology, you may be introduced to pressure. But in the field that we are doing now, which is the regional geography, in case any question comes regarding climate, please use temperature difference, precipitation, and temperature difference and precipitation to explain your point. That, okay, I want to talk about the equatorial zone. What's the temperature? If you want to talk about the monsoon, tropical monsoon, what's the temperature? If I want to talk about the trade, okay. Thank you. So why is it found? Somebody sent a message. Okay, the Joe's Plateau that I was referring to, sorry. So Joe's Plateau, okay, thank you. So I was referring to, I think I mistakenly said, what's it called? The Futajala, like the guy said it's in Guinea. Joe's Plateau. So the highlands too, I forgot to add one more, which is the plateau. Plateau is like a mountain, but this one has a flat top. So a mountain with a flat top. And the Joe's Plateau is kind of popular. It's a popular one. I hope we are all familiar with that. Okay, please don't focus on the screen. Focus on what I'm saying. I'm looking at sharing screen with you. If I'm able to open that slide. And are we following? Are we understanding it? I want 1 minute feedback. Please, are we following?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we are.
Okay. Okay, sure. So let's continue. Now, if I was talking about the climate, yes, and you know the West African climate has been categorized into the equatorial. I hope you're making notes. The equatorial, the desert, the tropical, monsoon, and then the trade winds. Then one more. Yeah. So if you want to describe any of them, you need to know the temperature difference. You need to know, even if you want to even add agriculture, that is fine. Because if you look at certain regions, because of the high rainfall, it supports a lot of what? Plant growth. Okay, so you can even attach vegetation to it. So they become 3 using temperature, using vegetation, and using the rainfall pattern. Rainfall pattern, give an example. For example, if you're describing the Sahel region, or let's say the Guinea Savannah, you can say temperature for region 1,200 to 2,500. And you can go ahead to describe the kind of food crops that are grown within these areas. That's most of the food crops. In fact, most of the food crops in Ghana come from the Guinea Savannah, not the rainforest. Yeah, so this is how you can handle the introductory parts of the thing that they've taught us. So if they say physical geography in general, you are going to pick the things I mentioned. You are supposed to pick the drainage. The drainage, I've not touched the drainage. The drainage, you are going to use the rivers, the lakes, and then how the lakes have actually helped in construction of what? The dams. That's what they're looking for, or their significance. I always say, if you want to describe something for them to know you've read enough, you use the name and where they are found, and then how they have actually helped that people. So I know we all know the Niger River is the longest river, West Africa. We all know our own Akosombo Dam, how it has actually helped in what? The construction of dams. So if you want to describe the drainage pattern, use these ones, bring in examples and bring in how they've contributed. These are a nice way of what? Presenting it. In case it comes in general, like I said, that describe the physical component or describe the physical layer of West Africa, you go by this. So you touch on the relief, and I'll talk about the relief, right? Yes, under the relief, I made mention of highlands, I made mention of plateau, I made mention of the coast. I've explained the coast. I've explained the coastal plains too, yes. And you go ahead to look at vegetation. Vegetation, soil and biogeography. We did that last semester. Okay, so most of the coastal part of West Africa is much of what is much of most of the countries, or let's say the West African countries at the coast is made up of what? Forest zones and all that. As you go up, you lose vegetation. Then you enter into the Guinea Savannah zone. You enter the Sudan Savannah zone, the Sahel Savannah. Then you enter into a mini desert. Okay, there's not a complete desert. The real desert is at the Sahara Desert. But part of Mali and part of Niger, it's into the desert. So this is how you can describe the physical component or the physical layer of West Africa. I'll pause and then I'll take views and questions and everything. If you have a question, please ask. Hello. If you have any question that's concerning the physical component or the geography of West Africa, kindly bring it. They will just generalize, or they will just tell you or restrict it to just a sub of them. So they can even tell you to talk about just the relief. It becomes easier for you. Okay, so I saw, if you don't have a question, let me add this. I saw something, okay, concerning the rainfall. Okay, the rainfall pattern. Okay, in case rainfall comes. Okay, Joseph, I'll come to you. In case rainfall comes and you are told to describe the rainfall pattern. In West Africa, we experience different types of rain, right? Good. And the rains can be caused by, we have 3 different types of rainfalls, but 2 are dominant. The dominant ones are the orographic, and then, or relief rainfall, and then what you call the frontal or the cyclonic rainfall. Okay, but I think in the book they only restricted, or like they only restricted us to one of them, which is the frontal. Yes, so that one they talk about the sea, how currents, ocean currents, which is the tropical monsoon, moves and they meet the trade winds, and they meet at what we call the intertropical discontinuity, and they form clouds, and it causes rainfall. So if you are told to describe the rainfall pattern in West Africa, please use the winds, okay, the northeast trade winds. I know we are geography students. Most of us are familiar with this. And northeast trade winds meet the southwest monsoon winds. They are all tropical winds, okay, because they are all from the tropical zone. But the one coming from the top is called the trade winds, and the one coming from the sea is called monsoon wind. Okay. Please, any question? Any question? Yeah, Joseph wanted to ask a question, and let me add this one too. If you want to describe the rainfall, you need to tell us the months that it rains a lot. So in the months where the southwest monsoon wind is very strong and has pushed the northeast trade winds, of course, what do you expect? You expect much of rainfall, like what we are experiencing in Ghana now. Every day is almost raining. It shows that the ocean current, which is the one from the sea, which is very warm, is very strong and has pushed what we call the northeast trade winds backwards. Okay, the same way when we get to somewhere December, okay, the trade winds will become very strong, and it will push what we call the southwest monsoon winds down, which will cause much of what sunshine and dryness. Because that wind is very dry and cold, it causes harmattan. Joseph wanted to ask a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. My question was about the you said the physical or the physical features of the West Africa. You said we have the coastal plain, the west and plateau and high ones, and then you further went ahead. I mean, it's also in the slide that
Hello, your line is breaking.
there's climate and then soil and vegetation.
Josephine, can you come again? Your line
So
is breaking. I don't know. Am I the only
the
person having that issue?
climate, soil, and vegetation, is it parts of it, or it is just the
Okay, so Josephine, kindly type your question
the
in the chat box.
coastal plain, the West
Hello,
African
Josephine, kindly type your
coast.
question. Hello, if you can hear me, kindly type your question in the chat box. Okay, I think
Okay,
I think I'm not the only person who can't hear you. Most of us too can't hear you. Okay, so that is how the physical components of geography is.
chat. I'll ask in the chat.
All right, sure. Please, any other question? If you have any question, kindly, Jacqueline, I saw you typing. Can you please unmute and ask so that everybody can hear you? Because the meeting is being recorded.
Okay, I wanted to ask if
Hello.
if what is discussed is the same as the geographical affinities, like the one we saw in the past questions.
Okay, the first question is a very old past question. Today now I was lazy.
I said I'm going to
Okay, please kindly type.
see in the chat. Like I'm going to put in the chat so you can.
Okay, sure. Okay, so with the one in the, don't follow the past question. Okay, Israel posted the question. Please go to that question. The past question is a very old one. You can go through it. Please type. Kindly mute. We will hear. We will see everything. Okay. Okay. So she was asking about affinities. It's the same thing. I'm talking about. I think. Oh, let me read the question again. Yes, so is a relief the same as the geographical affinities? Geographical affinities, no. Geographical affinities is not the same as the relief. You're talking about how affinities talks about interaction. I mean, how one relates with the other. Okay, so we are talking about how does these the geographical elements of West Africa, how do they relate to one another? Yes, so you can go ahead and explain that in regions of what high rainfall, we should expect that there will be high amounts of what rain, there'll be high amounts of the forest regions will be very high in that area. In regions of less rainfall, there will not be enough of what forest regions. And in summary, they want you to analyze how these elements interact with among themselves. It's only about relief. Okay. Yes. Please, if you have a question, any type, I may not see it. Any question? So if you don't have any question, we'll go ahead. So this is just the physical aspect of West Africa. I understand it very well. Let me summarize everything all over again because I want you to do very well. So with the summary, I made mention of the fact that when it comes to geography of West Africa, okay, when it comes to the geography of West Africa, we are looking at 5 key elements. We are looking at 1, the vegetation. We are looking at 2, the relief, the drainage, the soil pattern, and the climate and all that. They can either tell you to describe the physical components or like how the girl said, the geographical affinities. They want to know each component. So if you want to explain them, that means you need to pick each one of them and explain them. However, they can restrict you to just one of them. So if they mention only relief, you know we have 4 relief patterns, right? Good. So you describe them and you give examples of where they are found. You give if you have even river bodies they flow through or the borders they share, you can add it. Then you give an example of where they are found. So you're talking of relief, you're mentioning a plateau. You should give an example of a plateau and where it is found. Okay, that is how you explain your point. And if you want to talk about vegetation, talk about the crops that are grown over there, you talk about where it is found, and you talk about its significance to the people over there. So in summary, just pick one of these. I'm sure one of these will come. That's when the question come under the physical geography. There will not be any question that will come beside what you've done this evening. The meeting will end in 2 minutes time. When it ends, we join and then go into the social part of West Africa, where we look into the trade. We won't tackle trade, but I'm going to summarize everything. We look at tourism. We look at the population and all that. Definitely, they will come. If trade doesn't come, tourism will come or population. And if it comes in 2 of them, you're able to do it together with any parts in section 1, I think you'll be fine. You'll be very good to go. Okay, so the meeting is, we are 100 already, and I will start it once it ends. So if you're unable to join and probably it gets full, that may be the end. So let's join again, another section. Okay, if you have any question, you can write it down. If you have any particular question, you see me somewhere, or if you have any detailed question, I believe that this is what is coming. Either you can share it on the page, you can send it to me in my DM. Then I know how to neatly present it, okay, without anyone falling into trouble. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, so the meeting will end and we are joining again. Okay, if you don't enjoy it's let me see. Let me see.